Good morning, and here we are back at Murrayfield Ice Rink. Welcome to the semi-finals. I'm joined by Kerry Barr.
Hi there, good morning. We've just kicked off here in the semi-final of the Edinburgh International. We're on sheet number 2 here today.
And we're covering Stuart Taylor, and Stuart is playing David Seish.
We've had a bit of a change of line-up in the Taylor team from the quarter-final. We've got Stuart at skip, we have Bobby Lammy at 3, we have Alistair Schreiber at second, and we have Ross Fraser at lead. And Gregor Cannon sitting almost beside me, so watching the game from up here.
David Seish's team is unchanged. We've got David Seish at skip, Radek Boyhach at 3, Thomas Paul at 2, and Milan Polovaika at lead, but he's also playing vice skip just to confuse things this morning.
Yes, that's what we need on a Sunday morning. And the first end started fairly safely from both teams. The Taylor team don't have hammer, so they've went in, put their first stone in the house, and we're just going to see a wee bit of hitting. The ice looks like it's swinging quite well. It has been all weekend. It
seems to be pretty good all weekend. They've just recut the ice and repebbled it, so it might be a slightly different surface from what we had in the quarterfinals. Each came through against Kyle Smith. He won 6-4. Really, the third end cost Kyle that game, and he really couldn't get back into it after there. And Stuart Taylor was a fairly comfortable win in the end against Cali Cascani at 7-3. The other semi-final that's taking place at the moment on sheet 4 is an all-international lineup. Jaap van Droop from the Netherlands is playing Aku Koust.
Yep, the young boys from the Netherlands seem to have a really steady game this morning. They went to an extra end against Tommy Rantamaki and managed to steal that. From what I saw, it looked like they were playing some really nice shots. So I think we're in for 2 good semi-finals here this morning. So we're still...
It's a fairly tentative start, but you'd expect that for a semi-final.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure if this is maybe trying to be a guard at the front of the house.
So it left it fairly short, a bit shorter than maybe he wanted.
Seemed to lose its handle at the end
Almost
there.
ran back
I
at
don't
the
know.
end there, didn't it?
Yeah, I think maybe they thought it picked up on something because they're giving the ice a wee clean there. So Stuart Taylor's just calling to remove the centre guard because he doesn't want any mess. Sorry, I was wrong before. The young boys from Scotland do actually have the hammer, they didn't go first at all. I made that up. And they're playing the blue stones, and we have David Seish playing the red stones.
Yes. Alistair Schreiber playing here. He's been called to rip this one off, leave the house open. Fairly controlled weight.
Yeah, I think they're looking to keep the stone hanging around as a corner guard, but they'll be quite happy that it's rolled away. Did its job.
Short guard called again.
Yep, the Seish team trying to take this on in the first end, which it's always good to see. Makes it a bit more interesting.
Thomas Paul at 2. Boys are from the Czech Republic here. They've played pretty consistently all weekend.
Yeah, quite an experienced team. They've been around for a few years. I think they've been at this competition certainly a few times. So, sorry, we're just getting our pictures taken there. I had to do a quick cheesy grin for the camera.
I think possibly that was a bit further than he was expecting, but again, no discussion here. Just rip it out.
Yeah. No, I think the speed of the ice I think it changes a little bit over the game from what I've been hearing from some of the players. Yesterday there were a few shots from teams you wouldn't expect to not get weight control of their weight. There was a bit of issue with weight control yesterday. So
certainly what we've seen as the games go on, the ice has become duller. The boys are sweeping exceptionally hard these days, and they take the pebble off very quickly. And you can usually see the stone slow up by the end of the end. In fact, when they play their last stone draws for the hammer in their next rounds, quite a few of them haven't made the house, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, especially if they've not played a draw for a couple of ends and maybe not picked up on the change of speed for the ice.
So an interesting exchange to begin with.
Interesting. Yeah, this one doesn't seem to be swinging much, but it's
Still
quite a
goes
low
out,
weight, so
and he's out.
yeah, just keep rolling. Just didn't finish there.
Adeboyic's first shot. Stuart's called the draw to the wing.
Yep, so we'll see Bobby Lammy play the first draw for the Taylor team. It's a nice swing there off that centre line.
Yet. Should start to die a little bit now.
And that's just slipped back to you, but it's hanging on there, so it's alright. That's not a bad attempt, because to be honest, they've not played any draws out that line yet, so they wouldn't be 100% certain of the speed. And it'll still force David Seish to call the hit.
Again, another controlled weight. Yeah, nicely played. There won't be any question what the shot is here.
No. It's nice to see Stuart Taylor. He's obviously quite a young skip, but getting more experienced. He's playing in all these men's competitions. It's nice to see him looking so confident out on the ice in the semi-final in this big international competition.
And they were certainly very much in control in the quarter-final game.
Yep. Can only mean good things for Scottish curling. And again, a nicely played hit on the nose there.
David Seish's first shot coming up.
I think he's got the right idea with his hat on. The cameramen have looked freezing all weekend.
It's not much warmer in here, it has to be said.
No. And the heater in front of us says, please do not touch, so I'm guessing we're not allowed to put it on.
Seems a bit harsh. It is cool up here. Anyway, David Seish playing a shot. He's just going to try and chip this one back, lie where he is.
Oh, he's a left-hander, which I didn't realise.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I was watching their quarter-final game and he was getting a different action on the stone from Kyle Smith. I think that kind of threw them a little. He was getting a slightly different draw. It's a game because he's coming from a slightly different angle. Nice shot.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
No, nothing at all. Yeah, us left-handers are difficult to judge. But Kyle's got Cammy in the team, so he should know what a left-hander kind of action gets on the shot. But then we all throw it differently just to confuse you. There's a lot of cleaning of the ice going on. Just I'm not sure if there's been a few scratches or things lying there. So Stuart Taylor's just going to come down and just hope to just hit and stick this one.
He's just composing himself in the hack, just getting ready to play a shot. Again, nice controlled weight. Playing the clockwise rotation.
And that one didn't swing just quite as much as he'd expected there, but it's all right. I mean, that's what he would be hoping to have done with his last stone anyway, so it's not a disaster. It just means that David Seish gets the opportunity to play to the other wing, and maybe make Stuart's last stone a bit more challenging, not knowing the ice, but I think they'll still just aim for the blank.
Super's just keeping this one clean. Really not much effort going in yet. Weight looks pretty good.
Yeah, still running on. They're just expecting it to take a wee seat now that it's going slightly further out, but I think that'll hang on at the back of the rings. Yeah.
No discussion. Straightforward. Take this out. Roll out himself. Blank the first end.
Yeah. We'll see Stuart Taylor playing an out turn hit here, hoping to hit and roll out of the rings and blank the end to retain the hammer for the second end.
So no mistakes so far in the first end. Wouldn't expect
I
any
hope it's not a commentator curse.
Fingers crossed.
Yep. Here he goes with the out turn again, a controlled weight. Sweeper's just looking after it here. Oh, and they're called on.
Looks like he's got the inside edge.
Yeah, it does look like that one's swinging quite a bit, but they might get the roll.
Got the roll out.
Yeah,
well done.
It just makes it out of the rings.
Had to work hard for that one.
Definitely.
So a fairly tight first end, Kerry. Not much.
No, it was a fairly standard first end for a semi-final. Both teams kind of playing a bit defensive, but they'll just want to get a hang of the ice. They'll want to settle into the game. There wasn't really any misses there. I think they'll just be trying to see what bits of the ice are going to swing, what bits are maybe a wee bit straighter.
I think we've had a question, have we?
We have had a question.
Question.
We've been asked why they would try and blank the first end. The reason for that would be, as I said, just to settle themselves in, but they're blanking the first end to try and retain hammer into end number 2. We might see, we are already seeing a guard from David Seish, so he'll be trying to go a bit more aggressive in this end, and I think we might see, depending on where it stops obviously, I'm not sure what Stuart Taylor's tactics will be, but he might well put a corner up, he might just hit.
I think he's looking. Yeah,
yep.
Right, Kerry, go for the corner.
It's always a good idea to try and score in the even ends, but it's a bit of an early stage to be thinking of that now, I would suggest. But he, I would say he's doing the right thing by going for the corner. Certainly, got to take the game on. It's only an 8-end game.
Needs to establish some dominance at some point. You can't just trade strikes, otherwise it'd be a very dull game.
Absolutely, we'd have nothing to talk about. But no, I think he's right to call the corner here, and it's nice to see actually, because a lot of younger teams would just think, oh yes, they've put a stone in the house, let's hit it.
It's probably a little stronger than he was wanting. It looks like this one's going to end up in the house.
This blue definitely
that's not a great stone. That's probably about 10 feet further than he actually wanted it.
Yeah, I think they've just been caught out there with the weight of the ice, and that might change the way that this ends played a little bit.
Yeah, again, the difference, the ice has been cut, so it's a bit fresher. The ice over the last couple of days hadn't been cut this morning. It was probably slower from yesterday.
Right. Yeah, this stone looks to be a little inside, but the sweepers are holding it so far.
Yeah, I think they're going to get the hit. I think they're just going to squeeze it right across.
Yeah, nice wee hit and roll in behind that one, or towards that one. Now Stuart Taylor's probably going to go for the little hit and roll himself, yeah.
This would be a good shot.
Yeah, hack weight I think is the call at the moment, so try and get some play in the house and try and get some blue stones hanging about will be the aim of the game.
Certainly if you've got last stone, you're always looking to score 2.
Absolutely. The only issue I would say at the moment is that red stone at the top of the 12 foot is covering the 4 foot, so Stuart will be looking to have the 4 foot clear for his last shots should he need to draw.
It seems to be hanging high as well. He's going to get a piece of it, but possibly not the way he wanted it.
No, he's just rolled out. I think that was maybe a slight, I mean it wasn't a really heavy weight, but it's maybe just a bit heavier than was intended for the ice that was called.
Just and it maybe a little high. It's probably not a disaster at this stage of the game.
Absolutely. We'll see David Seish here putting up another centre guard. Because without last stone, what he'll be trying to do is either steal a 1 or force Stuart Taylor to draw for a 1.
fast to put the long guard on. You can see where David Seish's brush is, so he's hoping the stone will finish. May need worked a little harder. Probably just a little light in weight, and it's probably just a bit too short.
Yeah, with swinging ice like this, that guard shouldn't cause too many problems. It is a wee bit off the centre line as well, which might benefit Stuart Taylor's team. Stuart here just looking to see if he can get the hit and roll into the house here off that red stone. Just looking at the angles to see what he can do. Still not 100% sure, I don't think, so...
He's just asked for a hack weight here, tapped the back of his heel, which means he wants the stone to run all the way to the hack. So another controlled weight. Watching the swing on it now.
This one's
got quite a bit of swing on it for that kind of weight. Nice shot.
Just didn't quite get the roll inside that they were looking for, but that's all right. At least it's a blue stone that's there now, and David Seish will see the danger in that blue stone and just decide to get rid of it. He would quite like to just hit this blue stone on the nose and keep his shot in control of the centre line. Oh, Super's called on that very quickly there. I think it must have been a little bit tight, but seems to be all right.
Once across the centre line, there is quite a bit of swing in this hand.
Yeah, certainly that was a good hack weight, and there was a big draw there, so bodes well for getting in behind guards, maybe at later stages of the game when the teams have settled in and are playing slightly more technical shots.
The other semi-final, the Finns have taken a 1 in the first end.
Yep, Stuart Taylor's looking at the draw here. We was just discussing which handle to play it on. I think they're chosen to play it on the in-turn. So we'll see this stone go from right to left, hoping to get in behind that red stone that's on the centre line.
And certainly given the shots they've played up there so far, we know there's a swing there.
Absolutely, I think he's taking ice just in the middle of the 8 foot there, so we'll see this one hopefully swinging across if he gets the weight right.
To watch so he doesn't clip the front red.
Yeah, it is swinging here.
It's got a big swing.
The Supers are going to have to put in quite a big shift to get this by the red.
That's exceptionally well swept, just a little stronger than they were expecting. But had no choice. Unfortunately, David Seish has taken that one through the back. But the Supers had no choice but to hold it up, otherwise they'd have pushed the red in. Yeah,
I think maybe if that had been the right kind of draw weight, I think it might actually have swung across and actually caught the guard there.
I think you're right, Kerry. I think that it probably needed another 2 foot of ice. There is a big swing on this hand.
Yeah. The danger has been in the over the weekend, though, if you take too much ice, there tends to be a little bit of a kind of point of no return where the stone just stays out there. It's only happened on a few shots, but I think that's maybe what Stuart Taylor would have been a bit wary of there when he was taking the ice for that draw. So we're seeing.
I think David Seish should be listening to you, Kerry. He's going to come around on the other hand.
Yeah. I would have said actually it should maybe have possibly been the other way around. I would have liked to have seen Stuart play on this hand and David Seish play the other hand, because at the end of the day, David doesn't have... I'm getting the thumbs up from Stuart's team coach here. David Seish doesn't have last stone, so he would probably want to block up the centre line. So I would have said that the in-turn would have been the ideal hand for him to come round, and Stuart kind of wants to keep the centre line open, so I would have said he should be coming round on the out-turn. But he's continuing with the in-turn draw here.
Taking more or less the same ice as the last shot.
Yeah, I think he's given a couple inches more to probably to make sure, because he's obviously expecting less weight this time, but I'm not sure that will be enough, because we'll see this one swing quite a bit. It's going already, yeah.
The boys are going to have to work this one hard. I think, unfortunately, this one may have caught. Yeah.
I'm just going to have to do their best to not let it chip the red in, but unfortunately, that was a really nice draw weight there. Again, it was just maybe the ice was not quite enough for the shot that was called. So David Seash will now come round on the in-turn. He'll try and get one right in at the top of the forefoot here.
Interesting your point, Kerry. I mean, he's taken another what, 6-7 inches of ice. He's almost on the top of the 12 here.
I think that's certainly what's needed anyway, and obviously this blue is a little bit further out than where the red was as well, so he will need that bit extra. And this one isn't swinging quite as quickly as the other one.
No, it's certainly holding up, but it will come now.
It will. It'll start to finish now. Here it goes.
It's a nice weight. But you're absolutely right. That hung out a little bit. There's a chance for Stuart to come round here.
Yeah.
There's a couple of options here.
That was a really nice weight he played there, but it was just that trying to get somewhere in the middle of the ice that Stuart took and the ice that David took would be ideal. So Stuart's just looking to come back and tap this red. If you can get a wee inside roll on this would be quite nice. They're looking at back ring weight, or just enough to bump it through. I'm not sure if he maybe considered the blue at the front. It's a centre guard, and if they could run that into the house and possibly onto one of those reds, it might have been a good way of opening things up. But if this shot comes off, then it'll be quite nice.
Unfortunately, yeah, maybe just rolled the wrong way for Stuart. It gives David Seash a chance to come in off that one and cover the button.
Yeah, this is quite a good opportunity for David Seash to get one. A wee hit and roll in behind that centre guard there, which would mean that Stuart would have a tough shot with his first. If this does get the hit and roll, I would really like to see Stuart running back that blue, but we'll see. Okay, so this is David Seash's out turn. I think we'll see him playing a sort of down, maybe barrier weight here.
It's still on its way. Looks like that's hanging up a little. It's going to start drawing now.
Yeah, here it goes. No, it's still a little bit straight. There it goes.
It goes now.
Yeah. I think we're going to get a nice roll in here.
That's a lovely shot.
Possibly rolled just a little bit further than they would have wanted it to, but it's still in behind the cover there and
Button's
behind
well
that other
open.
one.
So the question is which hand to come down on.
Yeah, I think Stuart Taylor would possibly see maybe half of that red. It's hard to tell from here. Maybe half of the two reds there, but I don't think that he wants to do anything with them. I think he either wants to draw round, or that blue's not. Yeah, I think the draw's the shot here.
The draw's the shot.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to slip back tee here.
It's a very swingy hand. This line is critical on this shot.
Yeah, they've taken a bit less ice than what David Seash took for their draw round on this shot for Reddick Brohatch's shot. So let's see. And off it goes.
Way to the shots, down to the sweepers now. They've got to make sure it's here.
Yeah.
Again, the cut's starting to come in now, starting to pull.
It's still got plenty of line. I think it's just a weight that they're sweeping for at the moment. If this has got the weight, it looks like a really nice effort from Stuart here.
Very nicely played draw.
Yeah.
Well judged.
Yeah, they just needed it on that for weight, which is why it possibly didn't finish quite as big as it did at the start. Why it didn't start curling as early, but it was a really good effort. David will see probably about 3/4 of that stone, so he's got the opportunity still to remove it and.
Yeah, he just needs to be careful he doesn't play it on the high side. There's a chance he can jam the blue back into the red that's sitting behind the forefoot, just literally on the centre line, on the tee line. So he just needs to be careful it doesn't hang it too high.
if he catches it very thin, he could run that risk. But they've played down this line a few times now. I think he should hopefully know how it's running. The good thing is though that Stuart has just played a draw to the 4 foot, so he knows his weight for the last shot if he does have to draw against a 2 or a 3 after this.
Holding stone up. Need to work it hard. Have they squeezed it by? Oh yes, nicely played. Lovely shot. But you're right,
That's
Kerry. The
nice
button's
shot.
open. He's just played the shot already. He knows what to do.
I would like to see them just playing the draw,
Just play the
not
draw.
looking at anything else. But
Yep.
good.
I think that's the right call.
I had a minor panic there when they were having a chat, but if you can just play exactly the same shot, but mind you, same again, hardest shot in the book.
Skip shot though.
Yeah, this is why Stuart plays last stones.
Again, been an interesting end. A little bit more excitement in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Both teams have certainly gone for it a little bit. There was opportunities for both teams to really put the pressure on the other team. And this looks like it's a nice weight. It's a nice line. Started to curl now.
Start to cut really hard.
Oh.
No, I don't think he's got it, unfortunately, Kerry.
That looked like it just dived just about 6 feet before the hog line. That one just took a massive big swing there, and looked like the weight just came off it and it just stopped. So it's a steal of 3 to David Zeish.
So they get a minute turnover at the end of each end, a chance for the team to gather their thoughts. David Zeish will be quite happy picking up a 3, I suspect, in the second end against the head.
Absolutely. Stuart's team will just be having a quick chat about how they're going to try and get back into this game. All they need to do, I mean, obviously that's only the second end. There's still 6 more to go.
They really didn't do anything wrong. I mean, the end wasn't badly played.
No, certainly not. There was a couple of draws that didn't quite make it, but apart from that, it never looked like they were going to lose a 3 against the head. It was just that last shot just absolutely cowed there. So no, both teams set up that end pretty well. We'll see Milan Polivka coming into the house here. They will basically want to keep the house, put all their stones in the house and keep it as nice and clear as possible, whereas the Taylor team will be looking to get some guards in play, get some stones buried behind there and try and create their chance for a 2. I mean, obviously a 3 is a bonus, but if they can build up a 2 here, then that gets them right back into the game. They're certainly not out of it by any matter of means now.
Exactly as you said, called for the corner guard. The only thing is that the first stone from the Czech team was probably a little further than they wanted.
Yep. As I said, if you're down in the game, a stone back tee is your best friend. If you're up in the game, a stone back tee is your worst enemy. So that wasn't the ideal place for Milan to put his shot, but it's in the house, and we'll see Stuart putting up a guard here, ignoring that stone at the back of the button.
Need that to pull up now. It needs to be. He doesn't want it too far up, otherwise it gives him a bit of a problem.
Yeah. So that's Ross Fraser playing his first shot of the end, corner guard, nice and close to the house. Certainly be able to use that.
David Zeish just asking for another one in, top of the 12.
Yeah.
Just noticed they've got 2 left-handers in the Czech team.
Yeah. We're taking over the world. The sweeper's working hard on this. Skip's come out to give them a wee hand. It's over curling a bit, but I think they've got it into the right into the top of the 4 foot. So now this will be for Stuart to make the decision, and he's going to play the hit and roll.
Really wants to get in behind the corner guard here. That's the shot he's looking for.
Be nice to
chip it across the house and roll in behind the blue.
Yep. It's all about, for Stuart's team here, it's all about forcing the opposition to play some technical shots, asking questions of them. and hopefully trying to leave themselves with the easy shots. But it never works like that, does it?
Boys run it hard now. This one's swinging quite away.
And they're holding it well, though.
I think, unfortunately, this is just going to roll straight out. Yeah, he just caught, too thin.
We're all holding our breath there, but no, it just
too
rolled
thin.
a little bit too far.
So in the other semi-final, Van Drop squares the game back up, so it's 1 apiece.
Yeah, that game's going with Hammer at the moment. I've not actually looked across to see what kind of game's happening.
It was interesting. There was quite a few stones in play in the last end. Van Drop had to play a shot to take his one.
And we're just seeing David Seash asking for Thomas Paul to remove the corner guard, and looks like he's rolling into the house himself. Not into the house, but out of the way anyway. So he's just playing a defensive end as you would when you're 3-0 up. He has left that red stone.
It is there. There's an interesting draw behind.
Yeah, no, I think Stuart's made the right call there, putting another corner guard up. Or
I think that one's probably just a little too far out at this moment.
Yeah, it's not covering a lot of the house. It doesn't leave you with many options.
I think you're right. I think the corner guard's the right shot this time.
So here we see Alistair Schreiber.
Very steady delivery.
Yeah. These young boys have got no excuses to wobble.
It's only us old men that wobble these days.
And old ladies, yeah.
This may be a little stronger than I think Stuart was wanting. This could be in the house.
Yeah, just caught out again with the ice just running on a bit further than they expected there, but
David Sea's just asking us to be taken away.
Yeah, he'll probably want to keep his red stone in the house for this shot. Just put the pressure on Stuart's team and put the pressure on the decisions that he makes.
Nicely controlled weight. Certainly hanging high at the moment. Here it goes.
He was, I think, he was a little bit wide of the brush there, but he's played such a nice down weight that gave it plenty of opportunity to swing back.
Exactly as you said, Kerry's leaving it out there. Giving Stuart something to think about. No hesitation from Stuart to take the centre, rolling behind.
Yeah, he'll be looking to get a nice roll in behind that red stone that's at the top of the 8 foot. Nice controlled weight. Sweeper's
Starting
just
to
looking
swing
after
now.
it.
Need to watch it. Here it goes.
That's certainly a really good effort.
That's a lovely stone. That's really nicely played.
Fantastic. Yeah, they'll not see a lot of that from the hack. So I think what we'll see is a run back attempt here. This is exactly the kind of shots that Stuart Taylor's team should be trying to make this opposition play. They should be trying to make them play the harder shots, the more technical shots. So it's good to see.
First stone of Radek Bojic.
Yeah, the sweepers are on it.
Played that a little tight, Kerry. What do you think?
It looked a little bit inside the brush, but the sweepers are certainly holding it. But I think he's just gone past the blue. But his shooter is going to hang around, so Stuart will need to get rid of that. But this is a really good opportunity for the young guys to sit and lie to.
Certainly, if you're looking for mistakes, that's probably the first one in this end.
Yes, definitely. But that's exactly what I was saying by making them play the harder shots, because you're not going to make all of these. So, the Siege team are looking a little bit annoyed that shot didn't quite come off, but that will be just played right into their hands there.
They're working hard to hold this one. Doesn't want to roll too much to the other side of the house.
No, the shot is swinging big. Just touches the red and gets it out of the house, but unfortunately the shooter's rolled out itself, so I'm not sure whether that just was not enough ice or whether Bobby Lammy was a bit inside the brush there. I'm not sure, but certainly swung more than they had wanted it to.
Possibly
so.
a combination of possibly just not enough weight as well, just to hold it up.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see Bohatch here trying to remove that one on the blue.
I don't know if that just didn't pick up. He seems to. It's well inside. I think they're indicating that picked up.
He knew as soon as he let it go that it wasn't.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Making the shot. It's a shame. That's a bit of a let off.
There's been a few pickups this morning. The ice on Friday looked exceptionally good. There wasn't much on Friday, but today in the game I was noticing there's at least 2 or 3 pickups, and again there's been some pickups here. So either somebody's brought something onto the ice, or there's
there's
some
certainly
debris
a big
somewhere.
Scratch right up the house here at this end of the ice. So I don't know whether there's been some grit or something on the ice, but that's a shame. You'd never like to see pickups.
This has got to be in the house.
They think it's all right.
Yeah, it's nicely played.
They'll want to get that as level as they can with the other one, so there's no double in it. There's a good space between them, so the angle's certainly there for a double. It's not an easy one, but it's
certainly a long double. It's certainly possible.
Yeah,
I suspect David will be going for this.
Yeah, I think so. I think what his initial plan will be is to go for the double, but I think he'll be quite happy even if he could get his played stone to roll over towards the blue and make it harder for Stuart Taylor to get a bit of separation between the two of them when it comes to playing his first shot.
Given the ice he's taking, you would expect this to be quite heavy.
Yes. Yeah. When they're that far apart, he needs a fair bit of weight to keep the momentum going from his played stone. So we'll see this quite big, I think. Well, that looks to be fairly high. He's going to probably, if he misses that red, he's going to just hit and roll out. So,
if anything, he just looked just to tug that a little bit out.
Yeah, typical lefty out turn, unfortunately. We're not known for being tight on that handle.
Not usually.
Not usually, no. So we'll just see Stuart trying to just replace that blue, and I think they will try and leave it a bit more level with the other blue at the other side. We're just seeing Alistair and Ross doing some sweeping of the ice, just making sure it's completely clear the path of the stone so that Stuart's stone's got no opportunity to pick up on anything. And they'll be able to give Stuart a very accurate split time. And split time, for those of you who are not curlers, is time that they take between the tee line, which is the line that runs across the centre of the house. So the time it takes between there and the hog line, and that gives the sweepers a rough indication of where the stone is going to stop, how far it's travelling.
The sweepers seemed quite happy with it. We saw the stopwatches going down at the sides, and they really didn't power into that one.
No. And that's quite nice. He's left. It's probably gone a bit back about a foot or two further than what he'd expected, but it does mean that David Seish has pushed onto the other handle if he wants to play a double. So he is trying a different handle, which he maybe doesn't know the ice as well for. So that's not a bad thing.
Milan seemed to indicate a full strike there, so I don't think this will be hanging around either.
No.
We'll hope he can catch the inside edge and roll to the other blue. It's a very fine double. It is there though.
Yeah, again, there's a lot of space between these two blue stones, so it's a shot that you can, well, depending on who you are, you can expect to make a few times out of 10.
Well, we're going to have to work this one. This is pulling really hard. You're going to get a very fine edge of it. Well swept.
Yeah, they actually overswept it, I think, yeah.
Yeah, you really need to swing a bit more.
Yep.
So really no choice for Stuart here.
Nope.
There's an opportunity for 2.
This is exactly what they were hoping to do at the start of this end. They'll have had in their team chat, just try and build a 2, and they have done, so that's good. A wee hit on the nose here from Stuart would be exactly what they're looking for.
just settled himself in the hack, just getting ready to play. Should be a fairly controlled weight.
Yeah, they've taken a few inches of ice, so probably will be quite a down weight, so the sweepers can hold it. This is a handle we did see swinging quite a bit earlier on in the end, so sweepers are on it pretty early.
Certainly weren't to that. Seems to be.
No, it looks okay. It
looks
looks nice and controlled, and that'll just swing onto the nose of the red there.
Nicely played. 2 shots back. It's good.
Good. That was a good end from the young team. They didn't let that 3 in the second end bother them too much. They stayed fairly positive in their body language, and that'll give them a bit more confidence. So it's game on. Just again having a chat between the ends to see what their tactics are going to be for the coming end. We'll probably see Stuart Taylor putting up or asking for a centre guard with the first shot here. Try and force David Seish into taking his 1. Or maybe if they get the opportunity to steal, but the main objective I think will be to force the 1 here.
Just get themselves settled.
David Seish, on the other hand, will be trying to get a 2. Although I don't think that he would be all that unhappy with taking a 1, because that would put him back to 2 up, still in control of the game.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think he's going to be too upset at this moment in time. Getting the hammer back.
No, and as soon as that nice hit and roll was played behind that red there, it did always look like Stuart Taylor's team were going to score a 2 there. All they had to do was play their shots, and they did. So as soon as that run back was missed, that was kind of game on opportunity for them. So.
Exactly what was called centre line guard.
Yep, that's a lovely guard.
I'm not sure you could have placed it much better, quite frankly.
No,
It's
couldn't.
It's perfect.
Cutting the centre line just a couple of feet short of the house.
David Seish going to be very aggressive and go for the draw right now.
He had a look at splitting the front guard there. I think he was looking at that as an option, but he's opted to come round instead.
Having to work this to hold it. There is a really nice swing on this hand.
Yeah.
That's a beautifully played shot. They just wanted to stop in front of the 4, not behind.
Yeah, that didn't finish very much actually.
But you've got to be honest, say that was beautiful weight, well judged.
Yeah,
exactly
absolutely.
what the skip asked for.
Yeah. I'd like to see Ross Fraser here just drawing right on top of it, just sit on top of it, and. Yeah.
Yep, that's what's been called.
Just noticed Stuart's nice pink brush, nice and bright. The players have got no opportunity to not hit the brush when they're playing their shots.
Again, you can see they're just checking the time. They know how fast the stone is. They're not on it for weight. Just watching the line. If anything, it looks a little strong.
Yeah, the line, it hasn't really moved very much off the line.
It's probably got too
played
much.
it.
I mean, that's probably what, a T weight? It's just holding it out.
Heavy,
yeah. Yeah, almost back ring. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that would be I think the weight just kept that a bit straighter there, so it didn't come in and gives David Seish the opportunity to put another one in on top. So it's that famous saying, same again.
I think this one's picked as well. Yep, it's changed handle. That's quite sad.
That's another one.
That's 2 in this game in very quick succession.
Yeah, there must be something under the ice there. That's a shame. I never like to see pickups.
Yeah, that was a bad one. Not only did it take the weight off, it changed the handle.
Yeah, it didn't even leave them with any options. They had nothing that they could do there. And it just feel like a wasted shot to them.
So
neither team like to see that, even when it's your opposition.
So chance for Ulster Schreiber to draw round and put it on top of the red one.
Yeah, they'll just look to be sitting on top of this. Again, that maybe looks just a little bit
Yeah,
heavy.
it's a little steamy, doesn't it? It's holding out. Again, it's because of the weight.
Yeah,
I
the
think
sweepers, I
that's
think,
heavy
knew
again.
as soon as they let that go, the sweepers were shouting up that it was a bit heavy, I think.
Yeah, that's even stronger than the last one. This is a very poor shot.
That's a shame, because that was a really good opportunity for them to get on top of that red in the 4 foot and take control of the 4 foot. But then, from David Seish's point of view, he'll be thinking, well, I had a pickup, so it's only fair that you throw a shot away as well. And he'll just do the same call, come in right on top of that, put the pressure on.
Asking Thomas Paul to draw round. We know the draw's there, but the weight has to be spot on.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Again,
right.
this
So
looks a little steamy as well.
somebody's put some lightning juice on that path, I think. Everybody's getting
It's a
caught
draw
out.
now, but again, I think it's just going to slide past, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to come right back onto this back blue. Well, it might actually even go past the back blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's put a bit of grease on that line,
That's
I think.
quite unbelievable.
Yeah. What's this, the fifth attempt?
Yeah, maybe the 5th time to get a draw round.
Somebody will make it. And Alistair Schreiber will be hoping it's him.
Okay, here we go. He's just played this. He knows what the weight is. Again, the sweepers aren't into this yet.
I think it's better than last time, though, because they're...
It's still a little heavy, I think, Kerry.
I think you're right, Scott.
It's probably just about a T weight, but it's just not going to pick the draw. It's just going to roll behind. Again, just a fraction heavy. You've got to say that's 2 poor shots.
Yeah.
First one's understandable if the ice is keen, but for this to do it the second time. 6 attempts now?
Yeah, this is number 6, yep. I think us commentators are cursing all of them.
Sweepers are on this a bit early. The weight looks a bit better.
Yeah. The good thing about when it's quick ice like this is that the sweepers can carry the stones quite far. So if they think it needs it for the weight, they'll jump on it and they can keep it going.
It's maybe just a fraction overcorrected. But I don't think David Seish is going to be too upset with where that finishes.
No, that's in a really awkward position for Stuart. It's going to force him to play, to get Bobby here to come around on the other handle. It's going to change the way that they're playing the end. But again, we do know that there is a swing on the other handle. They were playing it in the second end down here. So they do know it's there. But it's quite tough for them because at the moment, the David Seish team are definitely in control of this end with where that stone is on the top of the button, and just the Taylor team haven't been able to get anything on top of it.
Yeah,
So
I think he's going to open it up this point.
Stuart's now looking at opening up the centre, which...
I'm not sure, like you said, Kerry, I'm not sure sticking one round might not have been the better shot right now.
Yeah, I'm just a bit concerned because they don't have last stone. They're already one down, so forcing the one here is okay. If you open it up, obviously you do open up the middle, but you also open it up for the opposition. You have to remember that whatever you're doing for yourself, you're doing for the opposition. Yeah, so it was a well-played shot by Bobby there. It was exactly what it was called for. The jury's still out on whether or not it was the right call.
We'll know at the end whether that was the right shot or not.
So David Seish now wondering where to put this next stone. I was going to say I think I would go probably around the corner guard. Even if he sets this in somewhere in the 8 foot, he's looking pretty good for setting himself up to actually take a 2 here, which was always the danger when the boys chose to open up the centre there, but they were in a sticky position in that they couldn't get to that red, and it just where it is on the pot lid, it was going to be pretty tough to outcount it, but I don't think they wanted to. I don't think they wanted to just come round into the 4 foot.
No, I agree. As you said, Kerry, forcing him to take the 1 at this point probably isn't a disaster. It's still pretty early in the game.
Exactly.
You want the hammer back. You want to try and get your 2 get back into the game.
Yeah. Now this looks like a really well played shot here.
Yeah, it's nicely played.
It's lying second shot. It has possibly left.
It's left a double.
A double, yeah. I think he'll see a bit of that.
I think you can see it from the other end. Certainly from the camera angle up here, it looks like you can see it.
And Bobby can play this. It's really quite thin, so he only needs probably less than a quarter of that red. Any contact on that red, and he should be enough to get the red off the pot lid here. This is where I eat my words for saying that opening it up wasn't a good shot if he makes it.
I haven't touched it yet. There is a gap there, unfortunately. Ooh, there was a gap there.
Yeah. Just didn't come off the centre line there. That didn't move at all. That's a big miss.
It's definitely advantage Seish at the moment.
Yeah, he's going to look to cover the edge there, or even move that one so that that shot isn't there for Stuart Taylor to play with his next shot.
So looking at the other semi-final, it's still 1-1. The third end was blanked.
So we've got Radek Bohatch with his second shot here. He played a lovely draw with his first. Now, just this one's not
This one looks like it's hanging up and a little steamy, perhaps.
They were trying to bump that one back a little bit, but the line is a bit bigger than what they were expecting, and it's going to leave it in the open.
Bobby indicating there's a...
Yeah. So Stuart will want to just catch this just off nose. The 2 red should go, and he should roll onto the red at the corner of the 4 foot there. Now this is going to be quite a big weight, I would expect, because he's got to get... Yeah, he's got to get all these stones moving. So he'll probably not even... There's a couple of options here, because he could, if he overswings and gets the 2 reds in the middle away, that's absolutely fine, but if it doesn't swing, he could also just play the double, the one on the top of the pot lid, the back one there as we're looking at it can go, and the one at the side of the 4 foot, and just leave the one in the middle, and then...
And the supers are on this, they're working this hard to hold it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a beautifully played shot. That's lovely.
That was a really good shot. Now that leaves him lying
advantage
3.
Back to Taylor.
Yeah. Now David Seish is just going to play the wee hit and roll across and lie 1, and it's looking like if Stuart doesn't make a mistake with his last shot, it's looking like David Seish will be forced to take a 1 here, which is exactly what Stuart Taylor had planned to do at the start of the end.
But it was a very nicely played stone, well worked out.
Yeah.
Good calling.
It was a team effort, good sweeping, everything. So.
So chip the one at the front, roll across. Force Stuart to hit again.
Yeah, I think we'll see this a kind of barrier weight here, because you can't quite see all of that blue. And here it comes. So it's swinging back. Oh, it's holding on the centre line now.
Good.
Yeah.
Needs to
Certainly
swing
got
a
the
little
blue,
bit
but
more.
whether or not it hangs around, no, it's
No,
gonna,
it's going to roll out. You just needed that to come a little bit more, so that's...
now the question is where's the best place for Stuart to put this? He wants to make it as hard as possible. He doesn't want to give David Seish the same shot again. He doesn't want to give him just a hit on the nose. He doesn't want to give him an open draw. But where that guard's sitting, it's not quite over the 4 foot. So I think what we'll see is him going to the side of the 4 foot here, kind of maybe 3/4 or half behind the guard, and force David Seish to play the draw to the 4 foot against 3.
It's amazing how one stone turns an end.
Yeah, no, fantastic shot there by Stuart Taylor.
Yeah,
it was set up for him, but you
It
still
was.
have to play these shots.
Yeah, Radek just unfortunately played us just a little too heavy. It needed to stop probably another 2 foot shorter. Would have been a better stone.
Yeah,
Even if he'd taken it further back, it's caught between a rock and a hard place on that one.
yeah, definitely. No, it was well called and played for by young Stuart.
The sweepers have got this under control.
Yeah, they're on it early just to avoid any overswing, but I think they actually need it a wee bit. It needs a wee bit help for weight.
Yeah,
It
they
looks
really
like
need
it's
this
a wee
to
bit
be in.
short.
Don't think they've got it there. No.
Not quite far enough there. But
So
David's
David
still
Seish-
just going to look at the draw.
Draw for 1.
Still, though, I know that last shot didn't come off the way it was expected to, but still, Stuart's team have done what they came out to do in this end. They're forcing David Seish to take a 1. If he makes a mistake, then they've got a steal of... They can possibly steal 2. So
Yeah, David was taking some attention to the ice there. I think he found something, just caught his sliders as he went down. Sometimes
Right.
you can feel these things in the ice.
yeah. And it's been the story of this game so far. There's been, I think, 2 pickups for David Seish's team in different ends, and there's been a lot of cleaning of the ice, maybe little bits of dirt or something. So let's hope it doesn't affect the game too much. And here we go, last
So,
stone.
Fully in the 8
fourth
foot,
end.
we'll get him as 1. Sweepers seem quite happy at the moment. They're just keeping it clean.
So on that line that we saw, 6 stones being, or 5 stones being too heavy and 1 being too short, does look like it's got a little bit of extra
does.
weight. No, it's
That's
stopping just
nicely
at the
played.
back of the 4 foot. So nice draw there from David Seish, and he scores 1 to take the score to 4-2 after 4 ends. So that's us at the halfway point now.
Guys will take a minute or so just to have a chat. Taylor
Yep.
team's quite happy. Forced the 1. It's always good.
Yep, and what they'll be doing is exactly what they did in the third end, and they'll be going out to score their 2. That'll be the story of the game, is that you always want to, when you've got last stone, you want to take your 2, and when they've not got last stone, you want to force the opposition to take a 1. So if they just stick with that logic, then they'll be absolutely fine. Here we see Milan Polivka. He'll be trying to go top 4.
Yep. Nicely played, exactly where it was asked.
Yeah, really nice weight control from the lead there. That's what you want a lead to do. You want them to have top 4 foot and just short of the house weight in their back pocket, and it looks like Milan has that today.
So in our other semi-final, the Finns have got a chance of a draw for 2. Skips the last stone.
Yep. Abulkaust has just chucked it down, so he just needs to be probably touching the 8 foot to score 2. Sweepers are just looking after it at the moment.
That weight looks pretty good. Looks like he's made the 4 foot. Yep, that's a good shot.
Yep, so
Abulkaust
that's,
takes a 2. Takes a 2-shot lead going into end 4.
so here we're seeing a corner guard from Ross Fraser. A wee bit shorter than they would have liked, but it's done the job. It's covering just the edge of the 8 foot there, so That's good.
He's just asking for a short guard. Elin Pavlika delivering the shot.
Yep, sweeper's on it straight away. Think it needs a bit of help.
Unusually the lead is vice skip in this team.
Yeah, I think I've just cursed Milan there when I said about his weight being in his back pocket, but
I think the sweepers have done a pretty good job to bail you out there, Kerry.
They were on it early enough, yeah.
It's maybe just over curled.
Yeah, it's not
Not
bad.
bad.
Yeah, no.
I'd be quite happy with that.
Yeah,
like
I'd
any
be quite
club
happy
game.
with that.
Right,
Not a time to get fussy here, Scott.
I think Stuart can get through to it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he's playing the right shot here.
Yeah.
Just coming
Just
up
freeze
to
up
it.
to it. Just freeze it on the angle.
There's no point in trying to play any weight at it at the moment and flying past or catching the guard. I think he's playing the right shot here. Try and build up the end, get stones in play. You only need one shot to get a big end. So.
I think they're indicating that picked up again.
Yeah, Ross Fraser certainly must have felt something under the stone or his foot.
It's certainly taken a lot of weight off it. If the sweepers can hold it.
Looks like it hasn't affected the stone too much there because
yeah, actually,
like a really nice shot.
Yeah, it's turned out really well. Wish my pickups were like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that did pick up, he's indicating that he definitely felt it gripped something, but actually, stone ended up okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where they wanted it. You couldn't have asked for a better shot. That's a really nice draw there from Ross Fraser. Another lead that's got his weight. Here's Thomas Paul playing second for David Seiche's team.
This one seems a little higher, Kerry.
It does. It's starting to go now.
Nice weight though. Looks like the weight's just about spot on, exactly what David was asking for. Now what they'll be trying to do is to block the button up. That's a very nice stone actually. It got a really nice draw at the end.
Yeah, and Stuart's probably going to have to look to move that front red at the moment. Just it's starting to build up in there, and he's not going to like that. So
it's the reverse of last end. David Seiche will be looking to force Stuart to take a 1.
Yeah. So we're looking to play the peel here, but I think look to keep the shooter as a corner guard if they can. It's not bad, but I think the shooter's just going to roll out. Yeah.
It's probably just rolled too far.
Yeah, it's not really covering very much of the house, but
again, David Seiche just asking for the short guard centre line, right there. Certainly in terms of shot play, there's not much to call between the two teams. It's just a couple of errors here and there and a couple of pickups that have cost the game so far, but still pretty tight.
Yeah, both teams still very much in the game. David Seiche is certainly in the driving seat with the scoreboard, but the Taylor team really built that too well in the third end, so there's no reason they can't do the same again in this end.
Nice to swing now. It's nicely played.
Yeah, Thomas Paul, really
that's
nice
exactly
guard.
where David Seiche wanted it.
Yep, that's exactly where he tapped his brush. Almost like he had a remote control under the stone there.
Again, Stuart just going to move this off. Hopefully leave the corner guard this time.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to keep moving that at the moment.
Mr. Schreiber playing the shot. Again, nice controlled weight. It's maybe just hanging a little high. It's caught thin again. A little better this time. Possibly still a little too far, but David Seiche wants for the same shot.
Yeah, the good thing about that rolling that far though is that it's not blocked the draw to the 4 foot, so because where the yellow I don't know where the yellow came from there, where the blue corner guard is on the right hand side, it's blocking the 4 foot draw possibly, which could make it difficult for Stuart if he has to make that kind of shot with his last. Whereas that blue that was just played by Alistair Schreiber there has rolled far enough that it's still covering a bit of the house, but it's not blocking any draws. But what we're seeing here is on another guard and another well played guard.
Yep, inch perfect again.
Yep.
Maybe just a little higher than the last one, but
there's definitely room. Stuart's looking to see if he can get past, but I think that's the right shot. He's just calling. He's looking at now. He's running the guard. If it catches anything in the house, then that's good. But I think to hit all you can see of that stone and bump it back, it might leave you in a bit of trouble. Yeah, I think that's the right
across
shot.
the top.
And even if he just peels it off, I think he'll be quite happy with the situation. So here we see the first stone for Bobby Lammy.
Yeah, given the state of the end, you want to make sure you can get the opportunity to get your one.
I'm just going to go by the ones in the house, but that's all right.
It's okay, not a disaster. David Seach will ask for the guard again.
Yeah. He's definitely in the driving seat. Control of this end at the moment is David Seach, and he'll want to keep it that way.
Radek Bojac playing the first of his 2 stones.
You're definitely better at pronouncing these names than me. David Seach did give us a lesson before the start of this game on how to pronounce the names, but I've just not really picked it up very well, whereas Scott's a bit more cultural.
I've had more coffee. That's all I'm going to put down to on a Sunday afternoon now.
I know. And again, that's just kind of sitting out a little bit.
It's a little higher than the last, and again, they've all been a fraction inch higher.
The thing is, they're covering the right side, because anywhere that Stuart hits that on that side, I don't think that blue is sticking around. I think the blue, depending on what weight they play, obviously, but that blue could pop out the side there and leaving the reds in quite a strong position. So we'll see. It's a nice down weight, so it might
Bobby Lammy's
give
first
it a
shot.
chance.
Again, this one's starting to swing now.
I think that's going to swing onto the red.
And the boys have worked that exceptionally well.
They got it past, and the blue has stuck around.
That's a really nice shot.
His shooter's stuck around. That's a really good shot.
And you can still see an edge of that red that's sitting on the top of the 8.
Yeah, that's a really nice shot.
Yeah, it's
there.
really well played. I think that puts them back in the driving seat. Gives David Seach something really hard to think about now.
Yeah. However, David Seach still, I think that red will still be lying in shot
I
position.
think it is.
So he'll just look to.
At the
moment,
I
he's
don't know. That's pretty close. I think
blue's
it could
shot.
be blue.
Yeah.
So I think he's looking
That's
to come
a
up
good
and
angle.
face
Thank you to the cameraman who changed angle there. It definitely looks like it. Vision mixer, yes.
I feel sorry for the person that's hanging off the rafters with the camera.
I know.
Yeah, I think blue's lying shot, so there.
Yeah.
David's just going to look to draw up and just move this back or face it off and lie stone.
Yeah, he'll only have to move it a couple of inches to lie the 2 reds here, but it's a line that we haven't really seen much play on, so it's a brave call. But even if he can get one in there and freeze on it, then that would leave him lying shot and leave Stuart with a pretty difficult task of getting it out.
Favourite shot for a lefty, Kerry?
No, I would like to play the other handle. If it was on the other side of the sheet, it would be perfect.
I think that's part of the challenge. Is this is an interesting shot for a left-hander? There's a tendency just maybe to poke it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But David's been pretty consistent.
He is, yeah. He's not your typical lefty. He's a very steady player, very experienced player.
So Sweepers are
But
ready
yeah,
on this
he
one.
has
It's
kind of hung on the centre line a little bit. It does.
Needs to swing now.
Yeah. I don't know that it's going to get past that front red.
If it does, it's passed by centimetres.
Oh.
That was close.
And I think he has managed to get...
No,
No,
it's
he's
still
not
blue.
shot.
He's not shot. Definitely driving seat for Stuart here.
Stuart and Bobby having a good look at these stones to see who's lying in shot position.
I think we're pretty convinced it's blue.
Yeah, I'm less convinced every time I look at it though. I keep changing my mind. I think if there's any doubt in their minds, I think that they maybe need to move the red that they think is possibly shot, but then it also leaves the risk of the shot that the stone that David Seash just threw there, that could easily be bumped in.
Yeah, and certainly when you look from the angle that we've got in the commerce position right behind, that's a tough stone to come round and not jam it back into the blue.
Yeah.
Stuart indicating a split the house to the other side. He thinks he's lying one.
Yeah, that's not a bad call.
That's not a bad call.
The only thing with that is that it does leave, if he's not in shot position when at the end of this, or second shot even position at the end of this, after this shot, it does leave David Seash with a couple of good options on those two reds that are both sitting in front of the tee line. He can bump either one of them up into shot position.
Yeah,
so this is quite an important shot for Stuart to get right.
He has to make this.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm saying. In a roundabout sort of way.
Yeah.
But he's played this draw a couple of times already in this game, this exact line, so he knows the weight. His sweepers will be giving him a split time, and he'll just be taking his time in the hack, hopefully.
Just get himself settled.
So in the other semi-final, we see a blank in the fifth end, so Team Van Dorp will hold on to the hammer for end number 6. And here goes Stuart.
Stones away. Sweepers are just keeping this clean. They're not powering this yet. It's holding high. There's a nice draw here.
Yeah, I think the line's absolutely fine. I think they just need to make sure the weight's
They're
there.
working
It's
it
got
hard
to be
now. It's got to be there.
in the 8 foot.
Has to be there. Has to be there.
Short for weight, but I think they're
That's
all right,
very
yeah.
well done. That's well swept. That's a great result.
Yeah, I just hope they haven't left a double.
When you look at it from the overhead, there is a double there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few options here for David Seash. I think Stuart Taylor would have liked to have seen that stone a good couple of feet, maybe 3 feet further back from where it is. David Seash has got the option of either, if he doesn't make the double, he could even just play the hit and roll in behind that red on the centre line, which would leave him in a very strong position and leave Stuart with quite a task to score any more than a 1. Even to score a 1, actually, would be quite a difficult shot. So we'll see what happens here. I do remember in an earlier end, David Seash did come down here on this very line and was a bit wide, so I think Stuart will be hoping it's the same sort of situation here, but I think he'll have learnt his lesson, and it is tight ice he's taking, so...
Yeah, I don't think he'll push this one wide.
No. Although that one is
It's hanging up,
there.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, he's got the shot anyway. He's got the... it's coming nicely now.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get buried, though.
No, but he's going to make it difficult for Stuart to get his 1. There's 2 anyway.
2, yeah. I think if Stuart can play a little hit and roll to the outside there, he might just get 8. We need to play a down weight to keep it around, but
Yeah, he's got to be careful.
I don't know that he wants to touch that top red there that's cutting the centre line, because
there's a possibility of pushing that back onto your own blue, so you've got to be very careful. I'm trying to work out if they nose this, would they get...
I think they're looking at seeing if they can hit the inside of the red and push the red back out. But I think the danger with that is that it could actually make it go sideways, which would mean it would outcount that blue. But that's what they're going for, so they
Big
can
shot.
obviously see the angles better than us. But yeah, there's an opportunity here for for a 2. Yeah, no, I definitely think that the simpler shot would have been to hit the outside of this red and just at a down weight just roll out the way, and he just needs to be half in the 8 foot. It's definitely there, but they're looking to get the inside here.
Certainly big weight.
That's it away. Sweepers are on it straight away, and they're off.
Yeah,
It's
just the
hit
one.
it on the nose, so that'll just be a 1 blue there.
Yep, 1 blue.
Yeah, Stuart will be a bit annoyed at that result, but I think he was going for the difficult out of the 2 options
I
there.
would agree with that, Kerry. I think David Seash will be quite happy. He's not going to be too fussed losing a 1.
Nope, he'll be quite chuffed with that. He's still 1 up with the hammer in the 6th end. So David Seash will actually be quite happy to actually take a 1 here even and go back to 2 up.
So they'll just be having the discussion.
Good morning. Or no, it's not
Afternoon.
even morning, it's afternoon. It's 10 to 1.
Okay, you can take that away now, thank you.
Yeah.
The game's about to get underway. I'm sure that's way more exciting than us. All I can say is I wish my mum had the interweb. She'd be so
Hi, Mum.
She'd be so proud.
I purposely didn't tell mine I was doing this.
Okay, so this is us starting end 6. They play 8 ends.
Yep, so we're getting to the business end of the game here now. See the young Scottish team going first. So here goes Ross Fraser. Been asked for a centre guard here. Sweepers working it hard. See a little bit of a switch there from the sweepers. Try and encourage the stone to curl over onto the centre line. Really nice weight
It's
there.
nicely played.
It's not swung quite as much as they would have liked, but it's pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that.
David Seash occasionally calling to come round that.
That looked a little bit tight.
It looked
of
a little
brush
bit
there.
pushed inside, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's starting to swing now. They need to work hard to hold this one.
Yeah, sweepers were on it pretty quick, and they are actually holding it pretty well.
They just snicked an edge of the blue. Nope, that's really well swept. That's fantastic sweeping.
Yeah, really good sweeping. That's
A
right
great
in,
shot. And I
right
think
into
you and I,
top eight.
Kerry, both thought that that was a little tight.
Yeah, just a little. If I was a skip, I would have been slightly panicked. But no, the sweepers held it really well.
Stuart usually calling to come round and freeze up to it.
Yeah. I've just had a text. It looks like my mum and dad are watching this.
That's okay, Kerry. My
Yeah.
mother can't work her text. We're fine.
Oh. Oh dear. And I'm getting requests from Team Edwards as well. They didn't get a shout out. So hi John, Scott and Billy. Probably sitting hungover in the kitchen at my mum and dad's house currently.
Unfortunately, this has just ended up short. That's not a great result.
No, that's not ideal from Ross.
That's a mistake. Again, Davey's just asking for the draw round.
Yeah. The good thing is that they've well and truly blocked up the centre, which, as we've already talked about, is the kind of main objective when they've not got last stone. But unfortunately, it's not their stone that they're protecting at the moment. It's a red stone of David Seash.
Again, this one looks tight as well.
Yeah.
A little light to weight, possibly. Yeah. Yeah, that was
Milan
very
Belika.
light of weight, very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, it's that commentator's curse again.
Yeah, Milan's played pretty consistent most of the weekend. His weight's been good. That one just short.
Yeah, so that was a really good opportunity, I would have said, for Stuart Taylor to to ask Alistair Schreiber just to draw right round that. They've not got last stone. They've got the centre fully blocked up. If they could get one right round that outside on the outturn, they would be sitting in a pretty strong position. But
I'd agree with that, Kerry. The way the stones are sitting, you kind of think that the draw would have been a better shot to come round.
Yeah, definitely. But they're trying this slightly more difficult shot, and I think what we spoke about earlier was that you always want to encourage the opposition to play the more technical shots, and you want to play the easy shots. But just this shot being called is.
This is drawing a little bit too much, is it? Yeah.
It looks like it's just going to catch the middle stone.
Nice, well played though. Yeah.
Very nice shot. I'm not sure if that did catch the middle stone first and then catch it, but whatever it did, it worked, so we'll not complain. But this is just encouraging David Seek to open up the...
And the way they're sitting, as long as he catches the high edge of that, he'll probably run the two blues off, open it up completely.
Yeah. Which is not what Stuart Taylor would have liked.
Ooh, that's a little tight. That wasn't the result they were looking for. I think that was thrown inside.
It did look a little bit slightly tight when he let that go.
Definite advantage to Stuart Taylor. More requests for you, Kerry?
No requests. No, I don't normally take requests.
This time, we've been asked for the draw round.
Yeah. Strong position here for the Taylor team. We've got those two reds still in the centre. There is a hole between them, but it's not a very nice thing to have to come through. So Alistair Schreiber here just trying to come round, and he'll want to sit kind of top of the 8 foot, top of the 4 foot behind that red that's just as you're looking at it.
There we go, starting to swing now.
Starting to swing, yeah.
He needs to swing more.
It's a really nice weight he just played there. It just didn't quite finish.
But a great position to be in.
Yeah.
No discussion here for David. He can just rip the guards off, open it up.
Yeah, I think he'll try and run this red into the house, and if he catches a blue, that's a bit of a bonus.
A great result,
but
yeah.
The main objective here is to open up the centre line for him to come in with his last. Yeah, I probably should have said earlier on in the game than this, but we do have an Edinburgh International Twitter page, so if anyone's got any questions that they want to ask the commentators, you can use the hashtag EICC_2014. Just don't make them too technical or difficult, because Scott and I, it is Sunday, afternoon, but yeah.
And you'd only get to answer them, Kerry.
Yeah, I had a long day at the rugby yesterday, so...
Equally, there's an email at info@edinburghicc.co.uk. Happy to take any questions.
Yeah. And not, do you know what you're talking about? Because the answer to that is no. So, just discussions from the Taylor team here, just what this next shot's going to be. Obviously...
We're thinking about the freeze. We'll draw top of the 8.
Yeah. I'd like to see them come around on the intern on this, just to keep that centre line blocked up a little, which I think he is going to do. There's a nice swing on both handles, but it didn't really finish, and the main objective here is to cover the centre rather than cover the blue stone in the 4 foot. So I think they're taking the right handle here. Just need to watch their stone placement and don't leave any easy shots for David Seish.
Bobby Lammy being tasked with the shot.
Mm-hmm. This team have been doing really well this season in some of the Scottish Curling Tour competitions, sponsored by Goldline. And this looks to be a nice shot here as well.
Need to keep it going.
Yeah, that's
nicely played. That's well played.
Shot. Yeah, that's exactly where they wanted it. And again, it's forcing David Seachin to play in a run back, which is a technical shot option for mistakes. He does have a lot of blues in there as options to hit, but it's still he's got to play the shot.
David Seachin just needs to make sure the front's open, so at least he's got a shot in somewhere to try and get his one.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any question he'll have to take it to this end.
Yeah, this has been a really well controlled end from Stuart Taylor's team. Let's just hope they can finish it off. Now he's trying to run this red onto that outside one and back in,
wow.
exactly as he did, and that's a great shot.
That's a great shot.
That's a really, really nice shot there.
Yes, Stuart Warrendless indicating that was a good shot.
I'm not really sure why this red stone was heading back up the ice, but he's changed his mind and he's not taking it for a walk anymore.
I've obviously played them out of order.
Yeah. Well, I've had this happen to me before. You can't play the same stone twice in one end. You just have to play the stones whatever order you play them in. I had a bit of an argument with somebody about this previously.
So guard called.
So yeah, I think the blue stone's still lying shot here. So Bobby Lammy's being asked for a guard, and quite rightly actually, he's asked his skip to give him the in turn rather than the originally called out turn, and they've just played this. So obviously this will be a bit less weight, but they've just played this line. So I think that's quite a wise call from Bobby there.
There's quite a swing here.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to go.
Looks pretty good though.
Pull it across.
That's really well played.
Yeah, that's sitting in a really nice position there. David Seachin's going to have to move something in the house. And he's looking at all sorts of different angles. Yep. Just discussing where's best to hit it and what handle to play.
Very quiet in the calling for this one.
Yeah. Just needs to swing a little bit more, but I think he's moved to top blue. That's a pretty nice shot.
That's a great shot. I mean, that's really opened the button up.
Yeah, it's left that blue that's sitting on the side of the forefoot looking pretty vulnerable. Stuart will go for the guard again here. This is Stuart's first.
He's got to make sure he protects this, because all David needs to do is just touch the red and touch the blue back, and that's him lying two.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Stuart's got to protect this somehow. Make life difficult.
Stuart is taking his time in the hack, getting told by the sweepers what kind of speed he should be playing the stone, what kind of split time they're looking for. He does the new stand-up delivery.
Master Shriver just checking the watch when he lets go of the stone, see him check the time.
Seem
so
reasonably happy, yeah.
Yeah, don't need to power into it, they know the way it is, where it's going to be.
It's got a long way to swing, but the sweepers will be on top of it and be able to keep it moving. Yeah, I really need to get working on that, because that's got a long way still to swing.
It still needs to come over a bit more. Ooh.
That didn't swing just quite enough.
I think he's left that completely open. Can we see an overhead, do you think?
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, it doesn't show the guard.
Doesn't show the guard. I
think
the guard's far enough out, Kerry, that he can actually get to this.
Yeah.
And certainly Polvik is indicating that they can get the slit chip and roll over.
Yeah, there's a big swing there as well, so he'll definitely be able to get the inside of this.
I think that's an unfortunate mistake there. It needed to be another foot over and try and protect it, probably just a little lighter weight.
Yeah, just didn't quite take the same line as Bobby Lammy's shot had previously. Just while they're discussing, we've had a question in from someone who's starting to curl, Scott McLeod. He says, I am just learning about curling and would like to know why they don't aim for the middle of the circles every time. So basically, Scott and anyone else out there who's just beginning, sorry, we probably should have explained this at the start, that the name of the game is obviously curling, so the stones will curl depending on what handle you put on them, which way you turn them, and different ice conditions make some swing more than others. But on this shot here, what we're going to see is David Seish aiming just a little bit to the right as he's looking at it of where he actually, and that'll be because the stone will swing in towards the centre of the ice. So I hope that's answered your question, and I really hope that you got to learn that, because you are supposed to be representing Scotland in a couple of weeks. Oh, now this looks a little bit tight.
It looks a little
the
tight.
sweepers are on it. They're off again.
That's a nice shot. That's really well played.
Yeah, that's a perfect.
Yeah. The shot for Stuart here is just to stun off it. He's quite happy if David takes his one. There's a possible inside edge rattle.
Yeah. I'm not sure that he's going to have enough on the inside to play a huge weight at it.
No, I don't think he is.
So I think he's just going to look to play the kind of hit and flop almost. Yep. So there's Bobby Lammy there just asking how much they can see from the inside of the stone, from the hack, from the of the inside of the stone, and it wasn't a lot, but he can play a sort of down weight. There's a nice swing in there, and the shot's definitely there. So even if he can just get the small inside roll and then force David Seish to have a really hard shot to draw for his two. Been attacked by a giant wasp. Okay, here we go. So I think Stuart will be playing a sort of half kind of barrier weight here. Won't want to be playing a bullet because it just won't swing at that. So
yeah, you're right, Kerry. He needs to catch the inside edge. He needs to hang around in here. It'll be tough to get shot, but what he wants to do is make it almost impossible for David to get his two.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly look at the other semi-final. Van Droop has just taken a 2 to score the game 3-all. 3-all playing the 7th end now.
Yep. Good tight game over there as well. Now, it looks like the sweepers have suggested a different shot to Stuart when he was in the hack, so I would really like to see him come back down and speak to Bobby about it and have a good look at the angles from down here if he's going to change his mind. I would have said that the other option for him would be to run the long blue into the two reds and get a double that way, but they're looking, I think, at the red onto the blue, but he's not going to get shot from that, so I'm not sure.
It's also risky. If it goes wrong, you're leaving the possibility of him picking up a definite 2, possible 3.
Yeah.
I think the first shot you called, Kerry's the right one. I think it's
yeah. It's kind of risk reward though. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's risk reward though, and when you are one down without, you do have to look at slightly tougher shots, but I'm not sure that now's the time to be doing it, to be honest. But if they think they can make it, then I'm not going to criticise. I just think there's a lot of risk involved in that shot that Stuart's looking at now. I
agree. I think the percentage shot is to play the stun off the red.
Yeah.
This is a big shot.
He might have got down to the hack and decided he didn't like what he saw from down there, didn't like the angles, but at least he's come back up and he's had a really good look at it, so whatever he plays he'll be happy with.
So they're going to go for this.
Yeah, okay, so good. I like ambition.
Red to blue to red.
I think they want to catch just a bit of pretty much on the nose of that red, actually. Push the blue kind of towards the inside of the red that's touching the pot lid, and they hope to kind of get a roll towards the other red. The danger is that there is a hole between those two reds. There is different angles that you could hit this stone and it could go wrong, but Stuart looks pretty confident.
You open it up as well. Okay, here we go. That needs swept. It's inside. Ooh.
No. That was one of the dangers, was
Yeah.
just catching that front red at the wrong angle.
And unfortunately, you've opened it up as well. It's really given David a
David's
relatively easy draw for 3.
Exactly, and he can just come right up to that red there as well, his own red, and still lie third shot. So that was a bit of a mistake. I'm not sure that changing the call there was the right thing to do.
No, I'd agree with your call the first time, Kerry. The flop round was, I think, the percentage shot.
Yeah. But then, sometimes if you get down to the hack and you don't like the look of it, then change your mind. So,
But as Trevor said on Friday, you never lose a game behind the glass, so...
No. It's
It
very
can
easy
be quite
to talk
pathetic
about
sometimes.
You're absolutely right. There'll be people listening to this thinking, Kerry's very quick to criticise, but she's not so good when it's coming to calling her own game. So this looks like it could be a little bit speedy, and Bobby Lammy will be out to...
Ooh, this is...
To give it a
That's a mistake.
A wee sweep.
Yeah. That was a big mistake from David Sage. Still picks up 2. Still got a 3-shot advantage going to the last end. Lot to do here for Stuart.
This isn't the last. This is the 7th end we're going into.
Sorry, so you're right. Sorry, apologies.
Sorry, I thought I'd missed an end somewhere.
No, you
fallen
haven't.
asleep.
2 ends to go. I'm just excited to be here.
Are you? Glad somebody is.
Well, it's Sunday. I could have been doing housework.
That's true. Or shopping a new look like yesterday.
It was good, though. I did enjoy it. There's nothing beats clothes shopping.
Especially for girls.
Not sure quite how to come back in that one. I probably won't. Probably safer that way.
I always like to have the last word. So we're moving into end number 7, and the score is 6-3 to David Zish's team.
Yeah.
So we'll see them throw first, and they'll be looking to get this stone in the house.
Yep.
Sweepers on it early. They're not
Certainly
working too hard. They're
it
just
short.
kind of...
Weight looks pretty good.
Yep.
They're having to work it a bit, actually.
We'll
They wanna
see
make sure
Stuart
this is
Taylor's team just putting up a corner here and trying to build their 2, get back in the game. They've been 3 down before in this game and came back, so there's no reason they can't do it again. The only problem with this is that they've now only got 2 ends, so they could really do with a 2 in this end.
So Ross Fraser being asked for the corner guard.
And the intern, which means that the stone will be going from the 10 o'clock position to the 2 o'clock position.
So that's
Or clockwise.
Clockwise. I was just waiting to add that in. Nicely played. Exactly what was asked for.
Nice shot there from Ross.
Again, David will be trying to block up the centre.
Yeah. Oh, he's just
just
throwing
goes
this.
through it through.
And I think that's a wise decision. In the later stages of the game, you don't want too much clutter around. So don't want to take any risks of dropping any guards short or anything like that. So he has just asked for his lead to throw it through, and that is... there's nothing more exciting as a lead than being asked to throw your stone through it. Or as a skip, actually, if you're blanking an end and you just have to throw it through. It's always quite a nice, relaxing shot to play.
Sweepers will be glad of the respite as well.
Yeah.
They've swept pretty hard in this game.
Yeah, they have, actually. There's been a lot of sweeping in this game. A lot of good sweeping, actually, from both teams. So we'll see Ross just playing another corner guard on the other side. Obviously, the first one was really good, but I think they'll just want the extra comfort of 2, because we are going to probably see the Czech team starting to peel some of these guards off.
The second, Thomas Pauls, is getting himself ready in the hack. He's keen to get on.
Yep. I think ideally they would have liked those corners to be level with each other, so there's no chance of a double. They will look at the double here, but I think the main objective will be to get rid of one of the corner guards. And here we go. Slight wobble, but I think he's got it back on course.
got an edge. Oh,
Just caught the
just
blue there.
caught, no more.
Went underneath the back one, but
Probably
that's fine.
probably a little wobble just caused him to pull it just a fraction high.
Yeah,
Gets away with it.
absolutely. There's nothing more disheartening than when your opposition make a double rip on guards like that. So Stuart Taylor's team will have breathed a bit of a sigh of relief there when that one went underneath the back blue.
Mr. Shriver. Loving the corner guard.
Not touching it. I don't know if they think it's maybe a bit speedy. No, here they go. It's all right. I always get a bit worried when the sweepers stand off it like that. Especially in a game like this where there's been a few pickups. I'd quite like to see them cleaning the ice in front of the stone and just making sure that there's less opportunity for it to pick up on any little bits of dirt that might be lying around.
No thought required from David Seish. Same again.
No.
Asking Thomas Paul to strip this one. Don't think he'll quite as high as the last time.
Yeah, he's just caught the edge again, so done the job.
Exactly what was required. Corner guard back on. It's been the call.
Yeah, this end's fairly standard, not the most exciting, but it's kind of textbook stuff from both teams here. When you're down, you do want guards in play, and when you're up, you don't want guards in play. So that's kind of seen by the shots that both teams are selecting here. Stuart Taylor's team will just be kind of biding their time, and I'm not sure. Maybe after this one, we might see them going into the house, but we'll see. They might put up another guard. Some teams, well, most teams all choose differently when to go, and they'll do different things against different teams. So here we go. It's another good corner guard from Alistair Schreiber.
Really need to get their two in this end.
Yeah, it's essential that they get their two in this end. Oh, and a nice double takeout from Team Coast over on sheet 4 there. They were looking like they were in a bit of trouble, but their third player just played a really nice double takeout. Sorry, wrong game. So David Seish has elected to take away the other corner guard this time.
Yeah, and it wasn't a great shot from Radic.
No.
A wobble again, just held it up.
Yeah.
He was trying to roll away, didn't want to put the guard on. Does give Stuart an opportunity to draw round.
Yeah, he's kind of let himself away with it a little bit in that he's kind of covered that red, but he has left Stuart the opportunity. They'll see about half, maybe, about half.
About half
red.
the stone, I think, from there.
Yeah, so they'll maybe come and try and just bump that back, and because where it is right now is in a really dangerous position. So if they've got the opportunity to move it, then they should definitely take it. But this will be I would say about a back 4, back 8 weight that Bobby Lammy will be being asked for.
And waiting for the swing.
Yeah, here it goes.
It starts to go now. Yeah. Need to work this hard.
Nice line, if it's got the weight.
Yeah, it's round. It's a nicely played shot.
Yeah, so he's just
That's
sitting
really
on top
well
of
played.
that. That's a really nice shot. Now that's exactly, we've got kind of deja vu from the previous end where David Seish had one in front of one of Stuart's stones. So that's exactly, it's set up really nicely.
David's just asking for the centre line guard. Let's just block it up, he says.
Because at the moment Stuart does require 2 stones to get rid of that because of where that's lying, and also it's a red that's out the front, so he's always pushing the wrong colour in. But so David Seish will be just trying to put this somewhere where it's not easy for Stuart's team to get in there.
It's a nicely played stone from Radic considering the first one, so he's probably made amends. It's maybe just a bit short.
Yeah, no, I think they would want it quite short actually, so it wasn't too close to that other red and make it easy for a double.
Lots of static in the background. I'm hoping they're not putting us on in the bar. That would be a mistake.
Yeah, definitely. Nobody needs to hear us. It'd be even worse if we could hear us.
I think that's the saving grace that we can't.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got another question in. The other question is how easy for Taylor to get to score 3 or 4 points. Everything's possible. I have to be honest, it's looking a little difficult in this end.
Yeah, at this level, it's not easy to score any more than a kind of 2, but that's a fantastic well, he's got a bit unlucky there with the way it's lying, but he's opened it right up. Yeah, scoring a 2 is kind of standard, but 3 or 4 points is always quite tough, especially at this level. You're playing against a good team that can hit, and when you're 3 down, the opposition are looking to be really defensive. They'll basically be hitting absolutely everything, so they won't let any chance to just build for a build-up of stones. So my answer would be difficult.
I can't argue with that. I think it is tough. He's in a very difficult position. He's got to hope he can get his 2 back here, which is always possible, and then force a steal in the last end, possibly an extra end. It's tough to steal a 2. I think unfortunately the 3 at the second end was kind of telling. And that's always played catch up in this game, but
yeah,
well, still a few stones to be played. Everything is possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing is that forfeit. Well, there's obviously stones in it, but it's reasonably easy to get to those stones at the moment. So it's not the end's not goner by any chance.
Just thinking hard about where to pop this.
Yeah, he's just trying to decide, I think, where he's going to obviously hit the blue. But David
where does he roll to?
Exactly. He's trying to work out where he wants the shooter, the played stone, to land. My suggestion would be probably out in the 8 foot, or even roll right away, just have no mess lying around. But
yeah, I think as long as he hits on the side where the brush is and rolls that way, that's absolutely fine. He doesn't.
Exactly. But really anywhere, even if he nosed it, still leaving Stuart with a difficult shot, because then it would be side by side with that red. So
what he really wants to do is force Stuart to take a 1 here.
And we're away again. It just seems on this handle there has been a few that have just hung a little bit high for David. So he's catching just about half the stone, and he is rolling away.
Wing.
Yeah, he'll be quite happy with that result.
I don't think he'll be upset, Kenny.
No.
Aku Kaust in the other semi-final has picked up 2 shots. So that's a 5-3 lead going down the last. So the Finnish team seem to be in control of that game at the moment.
Young team from the Netherlands, Jaap van Dorp, they could do with a 2 here to square the game and go down an extra.
Certainly to their quarter-final to an extra end, certainly played that exceptionally well to get through to the semi-finals. So
and then stole the extra end, so it's been done before. We're looking at Stuart Taylor just about to throw his stone here. He'll be looking to play a nice hack weight. I think he's looking to hit this red that's on the top of the forefoot there and roll in behind the blue. He's got a lot of swinging to do though. Before
it needs to move quite a bit. It's a little on the high side at the moment, Kerry. Yeah, it's hit it on the wrong side, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's a really nice weight there, but I think it was maybe just too much ice, and it does hang on that centre line for a really long time before starting to swing. But once it goes, it really goes.
Unfortunately, indicating that he wants to play the chip and roll over behind the guards.
Yeah, he'll want to leave Stuart with a really tough, or ask the question of Stuart to play a draw for his 1. He knows that Stuart will have it in his head that in the third end he had to draw, the second end, sorry, he had to draw against 3 and he was a bit short. So I think David will be trying to capitalise on that.
Ask the question.
Exactly. But this is much later in the game, and I think that Stuart will have his draw weight. Or indeed, if David doesn't get the roll here, he might just have a wee simple hit and stick for his 1. Again, that one's just
seems high again.
Yeah. So I think that Stuart will just have a wee chap on the nose. That'll certainly beat that other red at the side, so he'll just play the exact same shot he's just played.
That's what we just called.
Yeah.
He's going to make the last end difficult for Stuart.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
really
2
got to
down
hope.
without's not a nice place to be.
No, it's
but
not. And they've got to hope for a couple of mistakes and need to make sure their guards are inch perfect.
yeah, it's not impossible though. It's certainly stealing one's definitely possible. Stealing two's a bit more difficult, but it's not unheard of. If they can just play a nice wee controlled weight here, just exactly the same shot as he just played. Sweeping it early, but I think it's
Sweepers
all
are holding
right.
this pretty nicely.
Yeah.
That's okay. Nicely played. Takes his 1.
Yeah.
So we settle into the last end. Stuart looking to steal 2.
Yeah, they're going to want to put the Taylor team are going to want to put lots of guards up on the centre line in this. Well, not lots, but they want to put a good couple of guards on the centre line. David Siege will probably be trying to remove those guards. We might even see a tick shot. I'm not sure, or they might choose to come round. But certainly Stuart will be trying to block up that centre and get a couple of shots in there well protected.
So Ross Flaser with the first shot. We asked for a corner guard. Centre line guard. What am I talking about? Corner guard.
I wasn't going to say anything.
No, it's okay. It's Sunday.
It's Sunday.
It's still early.
No, I think you need another coffee. So got Ross here with an intern centre guard. I had to think about that there. Super's just
Nursing that one.
Nursing
He's looking
it,
pretty
yeah.
good.
Oh, are you switched by the guys there? Need to pull that onto the centre line.
There we're going.
That's a good effort.
Good effort.
Yeah.
Nice weight.
Yeah, what they'll have been trying to do there is get that one really close to the house, so then when he'll put up a second centre guard. See, I'm doing it too now. He'll put up a second centre guard, and he'll probably try and leave it a bit closer to the hog line, a bit further away from the house, just to make it a bit more difficult for David Siege to do any double rips. Now, are we going for the tick shot here, or are we going for the? Yeah,
I
looks
think
like
they are.
we're going for the tick. So basically, the aim of this shot for Milan Polivka is that he wants to move. Oh, it's just been stopped. He wanted to move the blue off the centre line and out of the way, but without removing it from play, because of course we're still in the free guard zone. So he can't remove that blue from play until until the 5th played shot of the end.
So David Siege pulled that stone off as he looked at Stuart. They both knew that it was going to drive the blue out of play and it would just be replaced, so it makes more sense just to stop the red where it was, not disturb the stone in play.
Yeah. As long as both teams agree to do that, then that's the right thing to do.
And certainly looked at Stuart to make sure he was happy with that.
Yeah, he did leave it very late before stopping it. So what we're looking at here is another centre guard from Ross. He'll be looking for this one to be a wee bit longer and keep a little bit of separation between the two stones, and it looks certainly like he's managed to get that, so that's good. That's a really nice shot. That's really hard to judge because you've obviously got to get them over that hog line, which that one's pretty close to.
Yeah, it's literally just over, but
yep,
that's well judged.
Let's go with well judged. Yep. But again, David Siege can't remove this stone from play, but they are going to try and move it from the centre line. Playing the other handle this time, so let's see if this has any more success. And of course, if he misses the top one, he can get the second one. I think the second one's the more dangerous one, to be honest. That the top one on the Hulk line is really long, and with the swinging ice that you will get round it. It looks like he's played a good shot here. He's not moved it all that far, but his shooter has rolled into the house, so certainly a good effort.
Yeah, and you can just see on the overhead it's just brought the blue into camera shot now. But it's still 2 guards out front for Stewart. Gives them an opportunity. He's going to try and come round now. He's going to ignore the red.
Yeah, that red. You would like to think at the end of this end that red wouldn't be counting, so Stuart will focus all his attention on that 4 foot, which is the red circle in the middle of the house. Or even the 1 foot, the white circle right in the middle, the pot lid. The stone looks like it's got quite a bit of running on it.
It does die quite quickly.
It is. We did talk about this earlier on, that the later on you get in the game, the ice does kind of fudge a little bit and slow down, but that's still a bit...
It's a nicely played stone. It's probably too far, unfortunately.
Yeah.
He really wanted it in front of the tee line, not through the back.
Yeah, and the thing is that they were actually better if that had stopped short of the house a little bit there, have more cover out front, but it's not disaster, because obviously David Sisha's ignoring it and he's going to open up the middle, because as we've talked about, he wants access to that 4 foot with his last shot.
Thomas Paul has to open the guards up.
And does so, yeah. So I think we'll see another centre guard here. Either that or he might come, yeah. I think the centre guard's the right shot.
Would you be tempted to come around the other hand, Kerry?
Possibly, only because if it was too heavy, then you could come in behind the blue. But you'd like to think that at this stage of the game they would know the weight and wouldn't have that to worry about. So either hand's fine here. Again, this looks like another well-played guard. Nice weight, and it's just going to just about touch the centre line, so it's perfect line as well. It does come a little bit closer to that other blue, and it does give the opportunity for the double rip on the guard. This is a shot that Scott McLeod would get really excited about playing. Be bouncing in the hack, but probably would miss. So
I suspect there'll be comments after that.
I suspect there will too.
Nicely played from Thomas Paul.
Yep. If it just swung a little bit more, he might have got the double, but he'll be happy enough with the single guard.
Stuart asking for the guard again.
We're on to skip stones in the other semi-final, and Van Dorp has just drawn the house to lie 2. It's just held on at the back of the rings, but he is lying 2. Koust is looking at the double. It's definitely there. It's not an easy double, but he's looking at it at the moment. So this is his last stone. Obviously, if he doesn't make the double, Jaap will have a shot to take a 2 and go down an extra end. And back to our game, and we're just seeing another centre guard. Bobby's just playing the same shot as he just played the last time. This one's swinging a little bit more.
Yes. There was a little debate at the start of that, Kerry, whether coming round to the top of the 8 was the shot, but I think they all agreed at the end of the day the guard was the right call. Yeah,
I think that either shot, to be honest, it's one of these you just have to judge when you come in, because they are going to need to bring another stone into the house at some point.
I wonder whether the next one will be the one that they bring round.
Yeah, possibly. I thought that was Bobby's second, actually. That was just his first shot. So,
yeah,
I think that they're probably the right call to come with the guard there. Only thing with this is that if he hits it in the same place as he hit the last one, the double's gone. I think he has got 2 of them. Now that's a bad result for...
Again, Radek's not... He's kind of tweaked, or has been tweaking his strikes. Again, it's just... Give him a poor result. Now come round to the top.
Now's
of the
the shot to come round, and it's just changed the angle that they're playing it a little bit. It's changed the line that they're taking, but they've got and it's game over in the other semi-final. That's Koust has just taken the double. It didn't have far to move the second blue, but it did move it just a couple of inches, which moved it enough to get it out of the rings, and it's game over now. So
that gives us our first finalist.
First finalist are the team from Finland.
Aku Kaus from Finland.
Yeah, one of 4 Finnish teams playing this weekend, which is really good to see. Now, Bobby's just come up a little bit tight here and is
just opened it up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think they know that was a bit of a...
I think that's a mistake, unfortunately.
Yeah. It looked like it had a really nice line, but it didn't look like he took an awful lot of ice, and that's a really swingy bit of ice there.
So that gives David Seish a fairly open hit.
Yeah. There's still time to get a couple of stones in there. Stuart's still got 2 shots to come, but it just means that both his shots need to be in the house and they both need to be counting. So it's a wee bit extra pressure on him now that he probably wouldn't have had before.
The sweeper's trying to hold this one.
Yeah, I think the sweepers will be looking to get a bit of a roll here, get rid of that red so that Stuart doesn't have anything to sit on. Now he'll just come through on the in-turn and just come in probably top of the 8 foot, fully 8 foot to make sure he's lying shot, but he'll come round that blue. Now he's looking at the freeze, but it's really tough to get there at draw weight. So I think he has to play his first initial call.
I think the draw round the guards the shot.
I think so. Even if he gets kind of half round, it's really tough for David Seish to get that out without it jamming on the red. So if he can even get half round the inside of the blue, but
if he plays the freeze and leaves it marginally short, it's a fairly open hit.
Yeah, well, he's looking at the hit and roll now as well, and I think that red could actually be quite helpful for Stuart if he left it where it is.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Kerry.
Yeah.
You know, if he leaves it slightly open in the top of the 8 and he chips it over, there's a chance it could hang around in the house. I think the percentage shot is the draw around the front blue.
Yeah. Just having a lot of thought about it, actually. It is good. It is good to have discussion. It'd be quite good to maybe see the other pair coming down and just seeing if they all agree. But I think where Bobby Lammy held his brush there is the right shot, and it looks like they've came to their senses. I've just double checked with Coach Hannah here, and he agrees that this is the right shot.
Yeah, you've got to say this is the percentage shot to play. Sweeper's just keeping this clean, which is good.
Yeah, that's swinging a lot
already.
Swinging now. You need to get on that for line.
Needs to be here.
Yeah. Well,
needs to be here. Need to work it hard now. It's starting to swing. They've really got
a little bit short, unfortunately. That's a few times that
very
stone's
poor shot.
Up short, yeah.
Very poor shot, unfortunately.
Yeah, that had to be in there, at least counting and just giving David Seish something to kind of work on. So David Seish will just put another one in the house. He won't be all that fussy about where it is, to be honest, because there's nothing else in, and Stuart's going to then have he's probably going to have to look at circus shots to at least lie to.
The only thing he's got is a split on the front blue.
Yeah.
But that's given where the red is sitting at the back of the 12 foot, that's a tough shot.
Probably have to play some weight actually at the blue that's just off the centre line, but mind you, if this shot goes in the house, then actually
it's game over.
Yeah. Well, maybe not. Get a helicopter in there and see what happens.
If Steve McQueen comes in now, I think we could see the Great Escape. This does look a little heavy though.
Yeah.
That's going to be actually no.
No, it's good. He'll want it level. He'll want it on the tee line.
Yep. And shaking of the hands. There's no way to get a 2 from that.
So
we have our finalists. David Seish From the Czech Republic, we'll play Aku Kaust from Finland.
Yeah. So unfortunately that's the end of the road for the young Scottish boys, but they should be proud of themselves for getting to the semi-final in such a big international competition.
So an international final. I think we're back on at 2:30.
Okay. So
we'll probably take a break from here. And, thank you, Kerry. I think I'm back on with Robin Copeland at 2:30.
Ah, good. Well, you have fun. I'm going to the pub.
It's always nice to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.